Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats because this is the James and Joe Garden Show with me, James Alexander-Sinclair, and my friend over there, whose name is
Monsieur Giuseppe Rapido.
Giuseppe Rapido. This is apparently, polls have told us, the least sensible garden podcast on the planet. I mean, we sort of tend to disagree with that, and we think that people aren't really taking us as seriously as we deserve to be taken. But every week what we do is we tackle a garden topic from the occasionally sensible to the occasionally ridiculous. And we have opinions on most things, Joe, don't we?
Well, why does gardening have to be serious? Gardening should be fun. It should be engaging. You know, there's life and death and humour out in that garden.
There is everything you could possibly want. Everything that is in life is also in gardening. And if a gardening... I mean, my recommendation is if you think that gardening is dull and you feel it is a chore, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
And go and do something else.
Let nature take over, rewild the space and just move on. Exactly.
Go and collect stamps. Did you ever collect stamps?
Don't look at me like that. No, I didn't ever collect stamps.
Did you not?
Do I look like a stamp collector?
You never toyed with numismatism.
What? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Say that again.
Numismatic. Numismatism.
Numismatism.
I think so. I think that's what a stamp
great
collector is.
A fancy word. Are you a
I was
stamp collector?
At one point when I was a child. I had a collection of stamps.
Do you have a penny black?
Yes, I did.
Oh, really? That's the only one anyone ever wanted.
There's a tuppenny blue and there's a penny. What happens is your penny blacks are quite rare, and then the penny red is dead common.
Okay.
Because you can get any number of penny reds, but I inherited a stamp collection from my grandfather, so there's some quite old stamps in there, and there was indeed a penny black. I don't quite know where it is. It must be somewhere in a shelf at home somewhere. And then I had lots of international. Hang on a minute.
Should we just stop this podcast now and go and look for it? Because it's probably
worth
a few quid.
It may well be. Okay, remind me to go and do that. Before that, though, we have a podcast to go with a sensible gardening topic. But before we do that, do you remember last week there was a chap called Tom or Thom from St Leonards-on-Sea?
We called him Thong.
Thom. And he challenged us to find a gardening joke.
Yeah.
And we said,
he came up with an AI gardener. He got what's the best gardening joke into AI, and it came up with something. Oh, it was about celery.
Yeah.
Why do you
leave the job or something?
Leave the job because he wanted to increase his salary.
Yeah, exactly. And he challenged us to come up with some garden jokes as well, and we basically funked out of that one. Because
I didn't. I came up with one.
It was an effort. You know, in fact, you came up with two. You did this. I see them there. I see them.
I came up with two on the spot, Jimmy. And what did you come up with? Oh,
nothing.
Well, we'll just leave this till next week.
So I've come back with something. I come back with a limerick.
Oh, nice guy.
Which I think is quite good.
Go on then.
Two gardeners, James and Old Joe, love planting where rude things might grow. They'll fondle their peas and tickle their trees while Jekyll the gnome steals the show. Isn't that topical?
That's very good.
I'm sorry we had to put Old Joe in there, but we had to get an extra syllable in somewhere in order to make it right.
Yeah.
And Old James wasn't going to work, so Old Joe. So that's our offering to Tom.
And
good. I think that
it only took you a week to come up with that.
I think it means that Tom gets his gnome.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, so he can have his gnome in St Leonards-on-Sea.
I'm going to make up a limerick right on the spot right here. I'm just going to do it.
Go on then. You're going to riff.
Yeah. There was an old gardener called Alexander-Sinclair.
It's not looking good so far, but carry on.
I don't care if it spans. I don't care about all the rules. You know, I like breaking rules. That's what they're there for.
Free form verse.
There was an old gardener, Alexander-Sinclair. Unlike his friend, he had lots of hair.
Ooh.
Yeah. He liked to garden in his pants, while his mate Joe does lots of rants.
Yeah, and?
It's not quite
I need one more line.
And there you go.
Hey,
what do you think?
Round of applause for that one. Excellent.
Who needs AI?
Nobody needs
when
AI.
You can just come up with genius stuff on the spot like that.
Exactly. There you go. I can think of nothing better. That is. I mean, we should stop this podcast right now before we even get onto any subject.
I think I might write a whole book of limericks.
Joe's Garden Limerick book.
Yeah.
Or James and Joe's Garden Show limerick book.
Here we go. The James and Joe Garden Show.
Yeah. That's what we. Oh gosh. Will make all the listeners really glow.
And when they get into their space,
they'll feel they've never been in a happier place.
Why is there always another line at the end?
Because there's a line that rhymes with the first bit. It's like there was an old man from Australia who painted his bum like a dahlia. You know that one? And that carries on from there.
That's a good gardening one.
There is a gardening one in there. So okay, the last, I've forgotten what the previous lines were.
It was the garden show. Right?
Garden show, sunrise, garden show, glow, diddly dum. So,
space.
I tell you what, listeners.
Yeah, write in a lovely limerick.
Finish that limerick for us and write us another one. And if we read it out, we'll give you a gnome. Yeah. Does that seem fair?
Seems very fair. We've still got hundreds of them to get rid of. Now, come on, what's the topic this week?
Okay, let me see if you can guess. It is sort of the beginning of autumn.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a major planting season about to begin.
Right.
Because we got through the heat and the drought of summer where you don't really want to plant anything at all. We're coming into autumn. We're looking forward to spring. What should we be talking about?
Oh, I've got it. Soil conditioning.
Joseph, you know as well as I do that we do not do soil conditioning.
We could do 25 minutes on soil conditioning.
No, we're not going to do that. We did compost quite recently. We're not going to start going to soil conditioning.
Nice in tandem.
So what is it? What's it?
Planting.
What are you planting right now?
Well,
or very soon.
Okay, bulbs. It's a bulb. Bulbs. Is it a bulb special?
It's a bulb special.
That was a light bulb moment, that, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh. We're going to do spring bulbs because now is the time when we're thinking ahead to March and April. And what do we want to see in our gardens in March and April? Because by that time we would have gone through a long and dreary winter. And what we really want, we want a bit of colour and a bit of oomph. And in order to ensure that we get that, we need to order bulbs. Have you ordered any bulbs yet?
Well, I've started making lists. I've started filling in spreadsheets. I've started contacting clients. I've started putting little, what do they call, mood boards together.
You've done all of that.
Yeah, so I am actually in the process of ordering a lot of bulbs. And for my own garden, I'm going to put in thousands of bulbs. Because, well, mostly perennial bulbs. Because once they're in, right? Yeah. And then they clump up, they seed around, and they come back, and they make incredible value.
So what are you going to do? You're going to do you got a load of daffodils in there already, haven't you? Some narcissus in there in your garden.
I call them narcissi, James.
Narcissi?
Narcissus. Yeah, because I'm narcissistic. I would like to call them narcissi.
Narcissi.
I've got quite a few. I've got loads of camassia.
Camassias.
I've got a lot of camassia, and I love the camassia. They like the clay, quite heavy soil. Yeah. And I've got a lot of Nectaroscordum siculum, which have also called Allium.
They used to be years ago. They used to be called Allium bulgaricum.
No, they still are sometimes by some suppliers, which confuses people.
They changed their name.
They do really well. I thought they loved it. They're amazing. So they obviously like the soil as well. I thought they liked it really dry and very well drained, but actually I've got quite a heavy soil and they're clumping up nicely. Bees go crazy for them.
The exciting thing about an Allium nectaroscordum is it's got these 3 stages of life. It gets up and it's got this sort of quite pointy head to it.
Yeah.
And then that sort of papery covering falls off and the flower hangs down.
Lovely.
Really, really. And then as it matures and it goes to seed, it basically turns itself back up again and becomes a vertical thing. So a very, very lovely life cycle of the nectaroscordum.
That was beautifully put there, James. I've got to say, you almost had me in tears.
Oh, are you going to be planting any tulips?
Yeah, I'm going to plant a lot of tulips, but I've got a bit of a deer absolutely love tulips.
They
right?
do.
And they'll come along and they'll just literally eat the hair. You know, it's like putting out a whole smorgasbord for them.
It's a running buffet for deer.
A running buffet.
I've got a client where we've been planting tulips in their garden for quite a number of years now. And like you, the deer have become too much and we're going to stop planting them. So I'm going to plant more narcissi because the deer tend not to eat them.
Yeah. And alliums, a lot of things don't eat alliums. Too garlicky and oniony for a lot of.
Too oniony. Whereas a tulip, you can imagine, if you look at a tulip bulb, you think, that looks delicious. Although it isn't, it's actually not good for you because they ate a lot of tulip bulbs during the Second World War in Holland because there was a shortage of food.
Right.
Audrey Hepburn, interestingly, ate tulips during the war when she was in Holland before she came to Hollywood and became the star of Funny Face and My Fair Lady.
What's a good tulip? meal? You got any?
Well, I mean,
recipe?
you look at a
You got a
tulip.
tulip recipe?
No, because you shouldn't eat them because they're not good for you at all because they don't have the right balance of some things, and it means that you're lacking something else. But I can't remember what
We'll
I've
not
got.
recommend. Do not eat tulips
Do not
out
eat
there
tulips unless
Don't-
you're a deer.
And also, narcissi are they're deadly.
They're very poisonous.
They're very poisonous, and people have mistaken those for onions in their vegetable basket in the past, and chopped them up and put them in some. We've talked about the mushroom killer.
Yeah, this is the narcissus killer.
The narcissi killer.
The narcissist.
The narcissist.
Narcissist. So it's time to order bulbs. So we're all ordering bulbs. And what's quite interesting is us as professionals. I'm ordering for a load of clients, and we end up with a lorry of bloody bulbs arrive. don't
sack
they?
loads.
Lots of them. And it used to be, when my children were small, I used to bribe them to come and sit in the barn with me and help me count out, because you get a sack of 500, and there's 100 going to such and such, and there's 200 going to so-and-so, and there's another 200 going, and you have to divide them up and work them out. And we used to count them all out into little bags and move them around, and we still do that to a certain extent, except it is really, really boring.
Well, what we do, we try and get them just delivered to our clients' addresses, and then turn up. And I throw them around. I place, and then ideally somebody else comes and plants, or a couple of people come and plant. And we've started using the auger.
Oh yes,
the auger drill bit attachment.
The auger drill bit, which everybody should have. It's what Frank, who comes and gardens for me sometimes, and who is an avid listener of this podcast. So hello, Frank.
Frank's a big fan, isn't he?
Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Frank bought, very sweetly, came to my garden last week, and he brought me an actinidia as a present for us doing the podcast.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's really
Hang
sweet
on a
of him.
minute. He brought you a present for us doing the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cheers, Frank.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to propagate from
no
it.
doubt it's in the post or
An
something.
actinidia being a kiwi fruit.
Yeah.
Basically, and I
Well, you need they're massive. They get enormous.
I know. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to push it at the moment, but we'll Frank and I will work it out. Anyway, why was I talking about Frank? Oh yes, because Frank introduced me to the auger. He said, "This, James." He appeared. He said, "This, James, is the game changer." And so he planted. He's got quite a big auger, and he's planting like 9 centimeter pots, doing all his planting with this thing.
Well, they come in different sizes. Augers
do.
once you become an auger master.
Yeah.
They come in 3 different sizes. You can buy them from that very famous online store. Now the thing is, you need a decently I use a battery powered drill. Now when the ground is soft as it is now, it's okay.
Easy.
But when the ground's hard, you've got to be careful, because you could quite easily do yourself a bit of damage. You could hurt your wrist.
Yes, exactly.
Because you put it in there and your wrist spins round, so you need a bit of oomph. And once the soil's loose. And I also got a lot of criticism from one person in particular on Instagram, who I've now blocked, obviously, because it's quite easy to do that on Instagram.
Criticism.
No, we don't. And started telling me that I was a crazy person, by drilling the ground, and I was killing all these worms that I was chopping up into little bits, all these worms and everything, and that I was basically destroying the world using this drill. And I had 1,000 narcissi bulbs to put in. And anyway, I don't believe that I'm destroying the world by using an auger.
You're enhancing the world, and doing an auger is an awful lot easier. Otherwise, what we used to do is a trowel is often not enough.
Yeah.
And so you're in there with a spade, you're digging a hole that's bigger than it needs to, and therefore you're in more danger of hurting the plants around it. So the auger is actually quite a precision tool. If you were going to have a surgical procedure done on you, then I would rather it was done with an auger than a spade.
Yeah, definitely.
I think.
Or a bulb planter.
Bulb planters are no good at all.
No, they just get all clogged up, don't they? So there's ones that are sort of quick release. They've got a handle. You push into the ground, and they've got numbers, depths of planting on the side. Push them into the ground, and then you're meant to lift them up, put the bulb in, and then release the soil. Well, it's all perfectly well if you've got perfect loamy soil that's exactly the right consistency.
Yeah.
It'll just drop back on top. And away you go. And then you've got the ones that are for lawns. They're quite good. Your ones with a sort of long handled bulb.
You tread on.
You tread on, but it's still a very slow process. Very slow.
Because you have to have perfect ground. It has to be like sort of like long meadow, like Monty's ground, that's all fluffy and nice, and then you can do it with a hand bulb planter. A bulb planter is a bad idea. An auger is the secret.
Yeah, but augers into lawns is where you need double-handed action on the drill. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, always, because if you hit stone, then the drill will turn around, and you so be careful. So what is your most favourite bulb? Do you have a favourite bulb of all the bulbs? I know this is a ludicrous and ridiculous question, but
Well, no, I do like alliums. Well, I like alliums for clients because clients always love alliums. You know,
because they're chirpy and they're easy and they're quite mad. Do you know what my favourite allium at the moment? I could change it at any moment. Is basically Summer Drummer.
Oh, Summer Drummer, yeah.
Which is like 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
And it still looks good now, actually. It's still in the border and it's there and it's looking nice. So that's my allium number 1, I think, for this year.
Yeah.
What's your
what
allium
are the
number
big starry ones? Is it Christophii?
The ones with the flower about the size of your head.
Yeah, I put some in. They like that. You know, it's good for a client. I'm not sure I'm going to put them in my garden. I do like tulips. I'm a bit worried about them all getting, but I might just try a few out this year.
You could try
I
a
think
species
I do
tulip.
love Camassia. No, my favourite. I've already said it. Nectar Escordum.
Yeah, okay.
I've said it because the colours shouldn't really work. There's greens in there. There's pinks in there. Smoky purples in the flower, but it does work. That colour just brings lots of things together, and it goes well in my garden.
I like a tulip. We have tulips in pots quite a lot. That works quite nicely because you can protect them better from deer too.
Yes, maybe I should do that.
You should do a few. And a tulip, you know, a big sort of red or orange tulip in a pot looks pretty amazing and pretty spectacular. Yeah. I tell you, one of the things that I'm not keen on is a yellow tulip.
Okay.
Because a yellow tulip, I mean, a lot of people...
I'm glad you've got a reason, because I would just say I'm not keen on a yellow tulip and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But actually, you've got a rationale.
I have a rationale behind this.
Hit me with it.
And it's, okay, so a lot of people don't like yellow. I'm not one of those. I like yellow.
I like yellow.
And you know, Annie Guilfoyle wrote a big article about why people don't like yellow in Scribehound. But a yellow tulip, I feel, is something, you know, what have we had for the past month before the tulips flower?
Well,
what's been the most sort of obvious bulb that's flowering just before the tulips start?
Well, you're talking about your daffs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what colour are they?
Well, they're yellows and whites.
Correct. And suddenly you have a yellow tulip after a whole load of yellow dust. It strikes me as a complete waste of space. And what I'd much rather have is something that was clarity or orangey or pink.
Ballerina.
I know you don't like pink, but have all of those kind of things.
Yeah, I do like the Merlot. I put a load of Merlot.
Merlot's a good
Merlot, but, I mean, not the wine, which I quite like too.
Yeah.
But Merlot is a very good tulip. It stands and it just looks and it's impressive. It's a good one.
Likewise, Ronaldo is a good one. Roughly
Ronaldo,
the same kind of colour.
I didn't know he was into gardening.
He's into gardening. Has
he got number 7 written on every?
All of them got number 7 written on it.
Wow. Yeah. What colour's Ronaldo?
Sort of clarity, reddy.
Yeah, like a Portuguese, like a Portuguese shirt.
All of that kind of thing. And the good thing about Ronaldo, the tulip, is that he allows other people to take free kicks.
Yeah. Well, that's the
okay, and then
still going strong at the age of 45.
Yeah, doing nicely. And then Ballerina is a classic.
Yeah, Ballerina's a classic. I remember seeing Ballerina. I think Andy Sturgeon used it at Chelsea Garden many years ago. Must have brought it on a bit. I don't know, maybe not. And it was just a great orange, isn't it? A tulip. It's a tulip flowered. It's just a bit of a classic.
Smells of boiled sweets.
Okay.
As well. So it's got a censorship. So that's a good one. My sort of classic go-to combination of tulips, which I've used for years. I've sort of used it a little bit less because I realise it's becoming a bit too classic. Is Ballerina, Queen of the Night, which is dark, and late dark. As well.
Yeah,
and White Triumphator.
Okay, yeah,
and that's actually a pretty nice mixture. It works well.
You've given away all your trade secrets. I like it.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm generous. I'm sharing.
Well, the Sarah Raven's piece on colour. And you know she does combinations of tulips, you know zingy stuff or more subtle stuff, and of course euphorbias as well to set off your tulips and all your spring bulbs.
Hang on, no, we're talking about bulbs. You can't suddenly
go.
No,
I know, but I just thought zingy. I said the word zingy, and euphorbia zinged to mind.
I know, but euphorbia, ladies and gentlemen, is not a bulb, and therefore has no place in this conversation. We can have that as another conversation where we can talk about other zing.
We call it a foil.
It is a foil. It's a very good and very effective foil, basically.
So there are some great combos out there. But the nice thing about tulips is you can mess about with them every year because most of them don't last more than a year. No. So you can try some. But the problem is you try some year, and then the next year you try something different, and you'll get a few rogue ones just coming back up.
But that's okay.
That's because you then pick them and put them in a vase.
Correct. Exactly.
I beat you to it. I knew where you were going.
We're all going in the same same direction.
It's like we've been gardening together. It's like you and me. Living together in a happy house, and we'd be planting our bulbs now. You and me, Jimmy.
Oh, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? And that's when we come back from rowing across the Atlantic together.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think most bulbs, tulips, start from Holland.
Yeah.
So it's also a lot of stuff in the Netherlands.
Oh, have you been over there? Have you seen the tulip fields?
I have never seen the tulip fields.
They are unbelievable. Honestly, I mean, I've never taken serious psychedelic drugs. But you don't need to, because you can just go over there and you've got a field of, bright pink tulips next to a field of yellow ones. Well, they're shot in massive stripes.
Yeah.
I filmed there years ago for Garden as well and kept popping up in all these different fields. And then there's what's it called? I was going to say Kirstenbosch. It's not Kirstenbosch. Kirchenhof.
Which is millions of bulbs.
Kirchenhof is unbelievable. It's like Disneyland with just bulbs everywhere in the most incredible displays. It's thousands of people walking around, and it's definitely a destination. You've got to go.
I went when I was 7, and I can't really remember the bulbs at all. I'll put a photograph on the social media of a small 7-year-old James standing at Kirchenhof. The thing I remember most about that trip to the Netherlands, was not the bulbs, even though we went to see them. Was something called Modular Dam, which is a miniature village. But the most thing is that a Dutch delicacy is a herring eaten raw.
Yeah.
Okay? And what you do is you go and buy a raw herring from a van, and then you hold it by the tail, and you put your head back, open your mouth, and lower the herring into your mouth, and that's how traditionally you should eat it. And so I can remember nagging my parents, saying, I want a raw herring, and they're saying, you won't like it. And I said, oh, please, I want a raw herring.
Like a gannet, you got to look.
Yeah, basically exactly like what are those things? Cormorant.
Oh yeah,
is that kind of thing? So I want a raw herring, Mum. I want a raw herring, Dad. And eventually they said, okay, fine, I'll get you a raw herring. And it was disgusting. It wasn't like a really good
It's not pickled.
Herring.
It's just
it's just a raw herring. It's just come off or head cut off, bosh, straight in your mouth.
Oh, right.
Anyway, that's what I remember most about Kirchenhof. But so I haven't been for a while. Maybe we should go there as well in one of our office trips.
Yeah, we should definitely go there.
We go and have a look at that.
I did get I got into a bit of a ding dong in the loos there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of is suitable for broadcast?
Well, there was this massive queue for there was a massive queue for the women's loos. I mean, I'm talking about 200 people queuing up for the women's loos or something.
Yeah, they need to look at that.
Yeah, and then there was a queue for the men's urinals, and I went in. You're looking at me like I should be. We can always cut this bit out.
Where's this going?
Yeah, and I went into. I needed a pee, but I went into a cubicle. And when I came out of this cubicle, there was this woman asking me for money. Like she wanted like a couple of euros or something because I'd used the cubicle. And I basically told her to, in my best Dutch, to go away.
Can you do that in a Dutch accent?
Well, they understand some very strong English language.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you joking? She said, no, you've used that toilet. You've stopped anybody else using that toilet who might need to use that. I was like, what? And I ended up coming out. Anyway, fortunately, no one recognised me shouting and screaming at some urinal attendant as I left this place. And anyway, the tulips are incredible. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and other bulbs as well. So
all other bulbs. Then they replace them. They replace them sometimes.
Every year, isn't it?
No, but sometimes throughout the whatever month or something.
So it keeps going.
Some of them come along and replace them if they're starting to fade. So the whole thing looks like it's on steroids, and it's all the local bulb producers that actually sponsor it, and they plant. It's vast. It's incredible.
One of the weird things, I remember talking to a Dutch bulb producer about this, is that the actual area where they produce bulbs in Holland is quite small. I mean, it's a vast field, but it's quite small as a proportion of the country, and that's the place where they grow the best bulbs. And apparently, because of the geology of the ground there, it's perfect for bulbs. Mm-hmm. They fatten up fast and they don't rot off and all that kind of stuff. The drainage is everything right. And there is nowhere else in the world where you can grow bulbs as well as that. You would have thought that, okay, we'd do a soil analysis, we'll find somewhere else, we'll find somewhere in America, or we'll find somewhere in China or somewhere, because there's a lot of money in tulips.
Yeah.
But there is nowhere else apart from that part of the Netherlands which will grow as good bulbs anywhere in the world.
Well.
So that's an interesting fact. I just launched.
Well, there is a lot of money. I mean, Tulip Mania.
Well, tulip mania, exactly.
that's where it
17th
all
century. That
started.
was that sort of crazy. That was about a tulip with a virus.
Yeah,
which
it was a
means that
break.
it has a break.
And
in
they'd
it.
exchange hands for,
Thousands of guilders.
Well, the equivalent of millions, I think, these days.
Yeah, and then the whole thing overnight.
Same sort
just
of money
went-
as Ronaldo. That sort of money. No wonder one's called Ronaldo.
You see, he's got a break on it.
Yeah, you got to talk to his agent though about.
We've sort of got to the end of. I just want
hang
to
on
do
a minute.
one more thing.
Well, we got to the end of bulbs.
We're nearly got to the end of bulbs.
Because I've got to go on one more rant. You go first, then I'll rant for a minute.
I want to talk about fritillaries.
Oh yeah,
It's one of my favourite. They'll do well in your
Snake's
damp,
head,
heavy ground.
Meleagris.
Snake's head, Meleagris, but also Uva vulpis.
Oh,
Uva vulpis.
oh, bravo.
Which I think is maybe Latin. Uva might be something to do with sheep, and vulpis might be something to do with wolf, or it could be something completely different. And I may be absolutely talking nonsense. Vulpis must be wolfish. Anyway, it's not as distinct as the snake's head, which has got this sort of beautiful checkery back to it and everything. But it's a really good. Fritillary for a pot. Anyway, you're allowed to have your rant.
Is it a big? So it's a big, tall one with.
No. It's not like the ones that smell of old foxes.
Yeah.
What are they? The orange ones and the yellow ones.
Oh yeah.
The orange and lemon, and they're called.
I don't know.
Fritillaries.
I don't really want them. I don't really want them in my.
I
They're
love
also
them.
really expensive.
They're really good, but
I've
there's
been
a really
looking
nice.
at prices.
It's a nice big bulb, and if this podcast was even faintly organised, we would stop at this point, look it up, and then come back and sound knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But actually, I can't remember.
Yeah, the big orange and
The big orange and yellow jobs. They
Hang on a minute. So you're happy with the yellow? You don't mind a yellow fritillary, but you don't want a yellow tulip, right?
No, I didn't say I was happy with them. I said they came in yellow.
Yeah, but you said I
would
love
rather
them.
have
You
a
then
red.
said I
That's
love
the
them.
orange ones and the red ones.
The orange and the red ones you like, but
The
you
yellow
don't want a
ones I
yellow
don't
one
mind,
because
but
you've had
it's
too
just-
much yellow because
a
you've
bit-
had
Exactly,
you yellowed out.
And it's a bit orange and lemon.
Yeah.
And then the yellow will come back at a different
Okay.
time. So, your rant.
My rant, bulb lasagna. Okay.
Oh, yes.
You see it everywhere now. I'll plant a bulb lasagna, and some people will sell you all the bulbs in a bulb lasagna. A bulb lasagna, ladies and gentlemen, is a pot where you're layering your bulbs basically from the largest to the smallest at the top, because that's generally the way they will flower time-wise. The smallest ones at the top will flower earlier, and then you'll end up, with tulips and your alliums and stuff down the bottom, and you can maybe pick 3 different layers, and you put a nice bit of pasta in between with a little bit of bechamel sauce, and then you top it off with a bit of cheese and everything. Lovely. All vegetarian, of course.
Yes.
Well, I invented that thing, and I don't care what anybody says, because I did it on Gardener's World years ago. I was planting this pot with all these bulbs in layers, and I said, oh, it's a little bit like a bulb lasagna, like that. And now, and that stuff is on tape somewhere in the BBC archives, and I want to claim that term, and I would also like to try and make lots of money out of it.
Okay.
But there's no chance of that.
So
It's
from
too
now
late.
on, whenever we refer to a bulb
A little
lasagna, we have
trademark,
to
Joe
say
Swift.
Joe Swift's bulb lasagna.
Yes, that would be. I would like that.
would work?
That would work for me.
Because I had one which I called the bulb trifle, which had
Okay.
layers of jelly and layers of sponge
Well,
cake
you
and
might have
layers
to
of
see my
custard
lawyers about that.
and
One.
layers of cream. It was
What have you
remarkably
got?
similar.
Is it custard and
Custard
jelly?
and jelly and sponge cake
Oh,
and cream.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, or alternatively, you
Has
can
it got any
have.
bulbs in there?
It's got no bulbs at all. But because I was sick and tired of the expression of bulb lasagna, so I'm not going to do a bulb trifle. It's very, very similar. So really, strictly speaking, I should say Joe Swift's bulb trifle as
No,
well as
but
Joe
what you do is
Swift's.
you have the bulb lasagna, and then after you have the bulb trifle for pud.
Sounds bloody perfect,
Sorted,
doesn't
isn't
really?
it?
Okay, we've done bulbs. What we'll do is we'll come back to bulbs when they start flowering.
Yeah, that'd be.
Does that
nice.
make sense?
Well,
So
they
we'll-
flower for a long. That's the thing. You can get them going from January through to May, June. So you'd have to pick a moment.
The January ones, we're going to do a whole special on snowdrops one day because there's a lot of lunatics involved in the world of snowdrops, and we can talk about them.
galanthophile.
Okay. Joseph, we've got a serious thing we've got to deal with here.
Really?
Yeah. We've had an appeal.
Appeal?
Yeah. Do you remember a man called Mark
No.
who basically had a dog that was eating mint? a Labrador that ate mint.
Yeah.
And basically...
Mint plants, not like...
Mint plants.
Not polos.
Not a polo mint. Basically, so what happened is that we had a conversation about his dog eating mint.
Right.
And he says here, he thinks, talk totally over the moon, she got out, yes, Mark will get a gnome. I said that apparently at 39 minutes in. Then, utter tragedy, not seconds later, after some totally unfathomable cat-related nonsense from Swift, the decision is literally overturned. No VAR, no third umpire, no producer intervention, and worst of all, seeming no gnome. And so he's appealing. If you remember, he basically had a dog that ate mint. I can't remember exactly what the question was, but we thought it was a bit bragging about a dog eating mint. But he's basically, what he's done now is he has submitted a dossier.
Yeah, was he a copper or something?
No.
Is he a detective? He's got exact timings and
he's got the timings.
all the evidence.
He's got everything. But he's basically, and what we admire about him is he says here, before accepting this rather questionable decision with a standard true British grit, may I courteously inquire as to any reasonable steps for appeal. So what he's done is he's sent in a picture, which we'll put on our social media, of the dog eating a dead pigeon and then eating mint afterwards in order to alleviate the symptoms.
What, to freshen its breath?
To freshen its breath after eating a dead pigeon.
Well, who killed the pigeon?
I think the pigeon was previously deceased, basically.
Right.
So he's gone through quite a lot of effort.
There's been no skullduggery
I'm
here.
sure there is.
And VAR, can I just say that VAR at the moment is just coming up with all the wrong decisions. So I would not say no VAR. I'd keep VAR out of it in your argument there.
It's third umpire then.
Third umpire, they're a bit more accurate.
So there are pictures here. And then what I did is that I consulted, if you have got a question about herbs, who do you ask?
Jekyll McVicker.
I asked Jekyll McVicker, and Jekyll McVicker came back and said that mint was a good thing for dogs to eat, as is parsley and some oreganos, but not the very hot ones, apparently. And her dog seems to spend its life chowing down on herbs.
Really?
So.
But do you have to mix it in with a bit of dog food?
No, just straight au naturel from the plant.
Okay. But you could have mint. I guess you could put the pigeon and the mint together, like a sort of Moroccan on a bit of couscous, or like a tagine thing.
Yeah, exactly. That works. So basically, the question is should we give him a name? Should we go back and revisit our decision? Just so I think we should personally, because I think it's fair. I think it's the right thing to do. Just so I can tilt it a little bit further. He also says that should I be successful in this appeals process,
here we go.
The gnome will be named Swifty.
Oh,
to prove no hard feelings towards the cat-loving co-presenter.
Do I want a gnome called Swifty in his living room?
Yes, absolutely, definitely. I think you do. So my vote is that we should give him a gnome.
Well, I'm always with you, Jimmy, and I think the amount of time and effort, and obviously replaying it and getting the right time and writing all these emails. Okay, fine. Give him a bloody gnome. No,
I would like you to do it more graciously.
Give him. Great. Okay, what's his name?
Mark.
Mark, on behalf of the James and Joe Garden Show, we would like to send you a gnome. Is that graciously?
That's graciously. That's beautifully done. And that gnome will be...
I was trying to be more gracious, but I haven't got it in me.
You can't do it. And that gnome shall be forever known from henceforth as Swifty. There you go. We sorted out our first appeal. That doesn't mean that everybody else who hasn't got a gnome can appeal like that and come over here and go all cutesy on us.
We're setting a precedence here. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
We're going to have evidence and documentation. We have lawyers. The whole thing. All our money's going to be spent on lawyers and defending ourselves. I know where it all ends up. If we'll end up in some tribunal somewhere, we'll get struck off. That'll be it. Mark, remember that when you're looking at Swifty on your mantel shelf.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get struck up from the Guild of Podcasters, never to return. We'll have our buttons ripped off. Do you remember there was a television program on Saturday afternoons where this guy had been thrown out of the US cavalry, he had his buttons ripped off, and they snapped his sword across his knee, and he got sent off into the Wild West to cope for himself?
No, is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what happens if you do. But he was unjustly condemned. I can't remember. Anyway, that's what will happen to us if everybody appeals their gnome decisions. But Mark, we're letting you slip through a crack.
Just this once.
We're doing 5 questions. Okay? Have the first question, Joe.
Oh, do you mind, honestly?
Go on then.
Okay.
What are you going to get? We haven't seen it. Is this like Gardener's Question Time where we haven't seen the questions beforehand? So they come as a surprise.
No, we don't know. This is straight off the block. This Catriona. Catriona.
She's probably Scottish.
No. So do you know how to? You are half Scottish or something.
I am not. Yes.
Yeah. So the way my brother-in-law taught me how to learn Scottish is there's a moose loose around my hoose, eating all my sausages and drinking all my juice. That's how to Catriona.
I think it's a moose loose about this hoose.
Oh, that's it.
Rather than about this hoose. Suddenly you get terribly English in the middle of
moose loose about this hoose.
That's it.
Eating all my sausages and drinking all my juice.
Okay.
The question. Catriona. Having her, we don't even know if she's Scottish, but no, it's not Katrina, it's Catriona. I can read.
It could be pronounced Katrina, though.
No, Katrina's spelled Katrina.
But that's Katrina in the waves, not necessarily
I
Katrina
know
in the haggis.
I'm going to call her Cat.
Okay, go on then.
A cat. Hi, Cat. Having heard Joe's talk on Saturday morning at Hampton Court, wow, this is a while ago.
What were you talking about?
Well,
we're going to
myself
find out.
Probably.
Yes.
Garden design. I was totally inspired. Oh, get those gnomes going. Come on, let's get the postal address sorted. Having heard Joe's talk on Saturday morning in Hampton Court, I was totally inspired and wish I'd heard him speak for 35 minutes to mark his 35 years in garden design, as I then would have done things quite differently in my own garden. He was truly inspiring and...
Oh, my
No,
God.
hang on, wait for it, James. This gets better. He was truly inspiring and witty too. My question is, who inspires or did inspire you and the reasons why? She's really good because I do 35 minutes of garden design, 35 years of garden design in 35 minutes.
Okay.
5 years ago, it was 30 years of garden design in 30 minutes. The talk just gets a bit longer. It's
Are
the
you
same
still
talk.
being paid the same?
Probably less, I think. Okay, who inspired? Question: who inspires or did inspire you, and the reasons why?
That's always a really difficult question because I think that as gardeners, particularly as gardeners when we're starting, we meet an awful lot of people, and you get sort of inspired and excited by lots and lots of them. It's not. There's no particular single person who said, "I want to be a gardener because this person was a gardener." A lot of people are inspired by their parents or their grandparents and all that, and that wasn't. I mean, my parents gardened, but I always thought that was something slightly boring, really. So I think that in order to become a garden designer and the idea of it, that also happened accidentally, which we covered in a past podcast. I'm trying desperately to think of something. I guess that Christopher Lloyd inspired me a lot because he was just there, and the other one who wrote a really good book, which I read before I became a gardener, and now, of course, I have completely forgotten who they were. So it obviously made a huge impression on me, which means that I have to come back to the stalwart and the obvious person who's inspired me more than anything else, and that's the inventor of the bulb lasagne, Mr. Joseph Swift.
Oh, lasagne.
Lasagne.
Oh, I like lasagne.
Lasagne.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I don't know where to go from here. It's just, it's a big day for me today because, I'm getting praise from you, cats, sending in questions.
I'm waiting for a little bit of reciprocation here.
Yeah. Well, no, you inspire me, James.
Excellent.
No doubt about it. No, I think you're right. Inspiration comes from all places and all people, and sometimes it's a garden that you see might not even meet the garden maker sometimes, and you'll be inspired by a garden.
Definitely.
And over the years, I've had lots of inspiration. I talked about when I first got into gardening with Antonia, who's a fantastic, I don't see her, I'm not in touch with her. We gardened for a year together. And then, watching people like Jeff Hamilton on the TV, working with Alan and Monty and people like that, but also garden designers that I've followed. And then I've met so many people. I'm very lucky to have done garden as well, because you meet, a specialist in snowdrops or a specialist in bulbs or whatever, and you go and film with them, and they're really inspiring.
Or even
as
actually
well.
Interesting. It doesn't even have to be somebody who's been a specialist. Somebody who's basically been gardening for quite a long time. You go into somebody's garden. They're not a professional. They're not a specialist.
No.
They're just somebody who has created something that is unbelievably inspiring. It could be somebody who's only got into gardening 5 years ago. It could be somebody who's been doing it for 60 years.
But it's a passion. It's a passion thing. That passion. There's a guy called Victor Shanley who used to be Clifton's designer. Who, when I studied garden design, he inspired me definitely because he was he was very different. He wasn't going for the sort of the Gertrude Jekyll approach to garden design that everybody seemed to be doing at that time. It was all a bit limited. So there's lots. I mean, people like Pete Aldolf, Dan Pearson, Tom Stewart Smith still inspire me.
All of our contemporaries as well.
Yeah.
There's a chap called Tim Rees, who's a garden designer, who taught me when I did a very short garden course many, many years ago, 1984. And he's still working and he's still out there and still doing stuff. And he was, although I was a really bad student, and I would like to apologise to him for my bad behaviour on a number of occasions.
He'll be proud of you now, Jimmy.
I think that what he taught me sort of stuck, and I sort of got the hang of it actually from him. So yes, lots of people. Carol Klein, obviously.
Carol Klein, we've got to mention her in every podcast.
It is. I think it's the rules.
The inspirational Carol Klein,
the inspirational Carol Klein, the extraordinary Carol Klein, the divine Carol Klein, if I might go so far.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Carol Klein is basically the root of all of our obsessions. Okay, I got a question here.
I mean, there's also nursery men and women that I've met at all the shows. They're all very inspiring.
Marina Christopher.
Yeah, Marina Christopher.
Should I tell you an interesting fact about Marina
Derry
Christopher?
Watkins.
Yes, but Marina Christopher, who has a company called Phoenix Plants, and used to be at that first Pete Udolph garden that ever came to this country, which was, I can't remember where it was, but it was no. It's before that. It's in Surrey somewhere, and then Christopher Bradley Hull did a garden. So anyway, she used to play a sport called octopush for England. Do you know what octopush is?
No, but you're going to tell me.
Octopush is like an ice hockey variant that you play on the bottom of a swimming pool.
What?
So there's a puck that sinks to the bottom of the pool, and you have to go down there and hit it into a goal,
right?
While holding your breath, and you have to
hold your breath.
Yeah, basically, because you're underwater, you can't do it without holding your breath. You hold your breath,
very dangerous.
Come down, hit the thing, go back up again.
Yeah, but then you've got to go down and try and find it.
Yes, exactly.
You've got to go up, get breath, and go down. Where is it now? That puck?
Yeah, but it could be in the shallow end, at the other end. All sorts of things. Anyway, that's another person. I'm going to do a question now. I'm going to take one from the middle of this deck.
I know that garden you're talking about as well. I know, I can see it.
You know what it is. We'll remember what it is, and we'll put it on a social media post at some point.
We're way out of everything. That.
Okay, you have to guess where this one comes from.
Okay.
G'day, James and Joe.
Is it Sri Lanka?
I watch lots of British gardening shows and have noticed an increasing variety of Aussie natives being grown by UK gardeners, from tree ferns to callistemons. Callistemon.
Citrus.
My question is, why is this happening, and what are your Aussie favourites?
Who's this guy?
Sorry?
What's this guy called?
It's not a guy, it's called Jacqueline.
Oh, sorry, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
It was the accent that threw me.
Hang on. Wait for this bit. I am hoping James has been practicing his Aussie accent because he's such a bonza bloke.
Bonza?
I'm a bonza bloke, mate.
Oh,
Jacqueline.
fantastic.
So good day, James and Joe. So it's basically about Aussie favourite plants.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. But the thing is, they're not new. There's nothing new here. There's nothing new. I was selling that stuff in my little shop in Islington a good 30 years ago. All the callistemons, the tree ferns.
I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you there. Your accent is deteriorating.
Have I gone a bit Kiwi?
You've gone a bit weird.
Have I gone a bit?
Like you just went a bit. Okay, stick with it. Just think. G'day, James and Joe.
I'm going to talk in English. Okay,
fine.
But I don't think it's a new thing. It's an old thing. Maybe it's having a bit of a revival. I think all those architectural plants, those exotics, were huge years ago. Yes, they've always been part of our palette of plants, I would say.
I think it's probably becoming more so because obviously as climate changes, we can grow things that we weren't previously able to grow. So the tree fern has been here for quite a long time. Tree ferns, as we know, were used as ballast in ships returning from Australia, and they were all kicked off in Cornwall. Yeah, and then they were planted and they grow, and all tree ferns have sort of. Yeah,
but you go down to those Cornish gardens, they've been there for a long time, haven't they?
No, they have been there for a long time.
Pittosporum, or is it Pittosporum?
Pittosporum?
Is it Pittosporum?
I think Pittosporum sounds like a bronchial infection.
Pittosporum, mate. Bonza.
Pittosporum. Is that Australian?
They're Australian.
Okay.
Or they're Kiwi. Oh, they might be New Zealand.
You need to be a bit careful here, mate.
Oh.
How about, I tell you what is Australian, is the eucalyptus.
There's no doubt about that, mate.
Nothing wrong with a eucalyptus, is there really? I love a eucalyptus,
Yeah,
mate.
I love a eucalypt.
Yeah, a eucalyptus.
Oh, yeah, because
I
I once stooled a eucalyptus. You know,
Sorry, you did?
stooled, which sounds terrible, doesn't it? It's such a
Doesn't sound
horrible
good.
term.
Yeah.
But basically, you hack it back to about 6 feet, a eucalyptus, and you get the juvenile growth with all the flower rangers love that juvenile growth. Yeah, and I told this guy in Australia that I'd done that, and he looked at me. You know, it was like I had killed his entire family or something. It was, you don't do that. You do not stool a eucalypt. And I never would again.
I stooled a eucalypt once.
Did ya?
Yeah, it was a mistake. I killed it.
Yeah,
stone dead.
Killed it. Yeah.
Stone dead it was.
What time of year did you do it?
It wasn't a gunny-eye. It was a different sort of eucalypt, but I can't remember what its name was. I think I did it at the wrong time, the wrong place, with the wrong thing. But okay, so other Australian
And you think my accent's
plants,
slipping?
No, mine's good here. I'm a bonza bloke, remember that? And Jacqueline has invited me to do an Australian accent. I apologise to the rest of Australia, but we've done that. So yes, we think it's been going for a while, and we welcome the contribution of the Australian flora to our English gardens.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sending them all over to us.
And one of the things we love more than anything is sending gnomes to the far corners of the earth.
Well, everyone so far has got a gnome.
Yes.
Let me just say that because they do want to know whether they've got a gnome or not. You know, when we answer,
they do. No,
question.
Jacqueline, absolutely, definitely. I'm a bonza bloke. How can I refuse her a gnome?
Okay. Now, we've got Nick from West Yorkshire.
We had somebody from West Yorkshire. Obviously, we got a strong
We're big in West
listenership.
Yorkshire.
We're big in West
Shall I
Yorkshire.
do me Alan Bennett? Oh, yeah. Well, Nick from West Yorkshire.
Why don't you try a Fred Truman?
With you both being I'm going to lose it. With you both being garden designers, have you ever or do you still leave a signature of yourself into a client's design? Signature could be a special plant, type of hard landscaping, etc. Interesting. That is quite interesting because people talk about signature plants, don't they? I sometimes talk about signature plants, but I'm not quite sure what my signature plants are because everything's site specific, right?
Yeah.
But there's some plants I do try and put in a lot of
I have a plant
gardens.
that I do put into quite.
What, in every garden, pretty much?
Not in every garden.
You're
but in lots
James
of
Alexander-Sinclair signature plant.
Well, I mean, as soon as I recognise it as a signature plant, I change it. Because you're saying, hang on, I did this in the last one. I don't want to keep repeating myself too much, but there is a rose that keeps coming back, which is Rosa mutabilis, because it flowers for such a hugely long period of time, from about sort of April through to November, and it is a really, really valuable plant. So I think I use them a lot, but I don't think you could look at a garden of mine. I hope you couldn't look at a garden of mine and say, oh, James designed that.
Well, they're not going to look at that rose and say, well, James designed it. But that's nice because it's a subtle underlying sort of theme coming through that you know that it's there. And the rose knows that you've put it there.
And the rose loves me.
And remember all these plants talk to each other when we're not looking when you go to the shops.
Yeah, and the Rosa mutabilis is saying, James has bought another 12 of these. What the hell are we going to do? We're just going to become terribly common instead of being rare and exciting.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good choice. Yeah.
Do you have one?
Well, I do like Euonymus alatus compactus.
Yeah, that's a good.
Which is a spindle, which is just sort of it's a green shrub, and it's quite compact and quite neatly sort of rounded, and you can give it a clip and round it every now. You can just give it a clip to just keep it shaped, but it is naturally rounded. Limey green, small white flowers, but bees go absolutely crazy for it. But then in the autumn, I like to just dot them through quite large beds, just dot them around and maybe a few on a corner. And then in the autumn, the colour is so intense, they're crazy red. And it just goes ping, and you get this lovely rhythm, and they sort of reveal themselves at this time of year, actually.
And the fruit.
Yeah, and the fruit.
Sort of orangey pink fruit, quite extraordinary thing. I think that in certain parts of North America, it's an invasive plant.
Yeah, I think it is, actually. Yeah, good point. But not in West Yorkshire.
But possibly not in West Yorkshire. I think you can get away with it in West Yorkshire. Have you, just on the subject of Euonymus alatus, have you had a problem with ermine moth on a Euonymus?
No.
Which basically covers the whole thing in a sort of cobweb in the spring, and then it eats all the leaves, and then these little wiggly caterpillars, and then a particular moth that looks as if it's wearing an ermine coat like a peer of the realm, and then the plant recovers. But they really like Euonymus.
Oh, thanks for that. Oh, great. Well, I'll keep an eye out for them now.
It's going to be completely
I think I
covered in
know the moth. I think
Yeah.
I do know the moth. Okay, we've
moth's
got to
a
keep
friend.
moving
Okay,
on.
we'll keep moving.
But definitely, that was a good one. Good gnome coming to Nick in West Yorkshire.
Okay, I've got one here. Matt, writing from the deserts of Norfolk, where we've had less than a teaspoon of rain in the last 6 months. So this is Matt of Arabia. I'll put it straight out there. I'm really keen to become a custodian of a Scribehound gnome. I live in the corner of a 1970s cul-de-sac. You picturing this?
Yeah.
It's like something out of Kes. And think the aesthetics would make a gnome feel that it had found its way home. It's really given a lot of thought when rehoming a gnome, whether they will be happy with their new surroundings. If after hearing my question this becomes a deal breaker, he hasn't got round to the question yet. He's just basically putting
thinking
his
where
case.
he's going to put his gnome before he's even got his gnome.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, that's what we call previous.
If after hearing my question this becomes a deal breaker, I'm prepared to do away with part of the herbaceous border and allow mining to commence. Right, okay, we know where he stands. The question, however...
Hang on, but these gnomes are not outdoor gnomes. Does he know that?
They can be outdoors.
You think they'll last outdoors?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the finish on them.
No, the finish.
I reckon one hard winter might crack them up.
No, well, it's fine. Well, you have to put a cloche over them. The question is, we finally get around to the question after a lot of faff. When does a crozier become a frond?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what he's referring to is he's talking about ferns.
Yes.
And I think I've half written an article for Scribehound about this. Is that the only thing that have croziers are bishops and ferns. So bishops have it as a sort of shepherd's crook thing.
It's a shepherd's crook stick. As a stick.
That's called a crozier when a bishop has it.
Okay.
And it's the same shape as the crozier. So an emerging fern.
I'm learning
it
something.
It opens very slow. It's like a sort of curl. And it turns as it gets bigger, it gets longer at the bottom, and the curl begins to open, and then eventually it becomes a frond. So at what point does the crozier become a frond?
Yeah, good question. Well, I'll be honest with you, they're two beautiful things. Croziers and fronds are beautiful things. And croziers, especially in the Dixonia antarctica, the hardy tree fern, they're amazing when you look into the middle of them, and they're just. But I think the actual question is a silly one. I'll be honest with you, because at what point, when it's like, what are you going to say, when it's 12.4 millimeters long?
Yeah.
Or, okay, so I'm not going to answer this question. I like the visualization. I loved you would look like a beautiful crozier turning into a frond. Anyone who's actually watching this will have seen James's amateur dramatics coming through again. I can't believe you didn't get accepted to drama school.
It's a scandal. It's one of the biggest scandals of modern civilization.
Which one was it? It was Hull or somewhere.
No, was it? Hull was one of them, and then I went for another one at Central, and I think I went one at RADA. Actually,
I think we should go back.
Do you think we should start again?
I think you should start again.
And I could just do my fern impersonation.
Do your fern impersonation, and maybe shorten the name. Let's do the double barrel thing. You're James-Sinclair.
Yeah.
And you're going in there, and you're going to do the audition, and this time you're going to smash it, and you're going to get in, and they'll take at least 10 grand a year off you as well. So okay. How would you answer that question?
Well, I think that the point when a crozier becomes a frond is the point when it grows up. It's that moment where it moves from short trousers into long trousers. It's that point where it has when it goes to the barber for a haircut, it doesn't have to sit on that booster seat, and it can sit on the big seat. And that's the point when a crozier becomes a frond. But I think we're going to give him a gnome anyway, because I just like the idea of it.
Well, he desperately wants this gnome. What's he going to do to his perennial? His herbaceous board? He's going to get rid of half of it.
Well, he's not, because he's prepared to dig up his herbaceous board so he can have a gnome. He's going to get a gnome. He's getting a gnome. He's getting a gnome because it's a lovely question.
It's a lovely question, but it's an impossible one to answer. I mean, when you end up in a barber shop on a bench, you know that it's a hard one. Okay, short and sweet. Glenda. That's a proper name.
It is a proper name.
Glenda.
I've never met somebody called Glenda. Have you met somebody called Glenda?
Well, my mother-in-law's called Brenda.
Not the same.
And her best friend was called Glenda. It was
Brenda and Glenda.
Brenda and Glenda. It's a generational thing. So, Glenda, I presume, is a more mature woman, but also maybe it's one of those names that's coming back. If she could be a younger woman, it could be one of those
nice, like,
coming round again,
like Mavis and Daisy.
Yeah, and Mabel.
Mabel. I know a Mabel.
Yeah. Anyway, this question. Oh. Which dead gardener would you most like to have met?
Oh God, we've answered this question before. Well, I spoke about Joseph Paxton before.
You talk about Joseph Paxton or Joseph Banks in every single... All the time, don't you?
Okay, let's think of one more recently. I was thinking the other day about Beatrix Havergal, who is the woman who set up Waterperry and trained various gardeners at various places. And she was, I think, what you would call terrifying. Okay. She looked terrible. She had this fantastic uniform with sort of breeches and a long coat, and she used to grow strawberries for Chelsea Flower Show. Again, I'll put a photograph of her up on our Instagram account, which is @JamesJoeGarden. Go and follow us now. And I'll put a photograph. And I think that she did an awful lot to promote gardening for professional women as professional gardeners. Probably around the 40s, 50s. 60s, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people were trained by her. So I would quite like to meet her, even though I think that she might not think that I was terribly serious. But also, yes. Okay, so Beatrice Havergal is on my list. Who's yours?
Well, I've said it before. I'd love to have met Jeff Hamilton.
But you said it before. You can't say it again. Well I wasn't allowed Joseph Paxton or. So
I've got to think of another dead gardener.
Yeah. There's quite a lot. There, strictly speaking,
no, there's loads.
There's more dead gardeners than alive gardeners.
Yeah, I know, but I can't. My brain's gone a bit
fried. What about?
Can I help me, James?
What about one of the other gardeners? What about Percy Thrower? Would you like to have met Percy Thrower?
Yeah, okay, yeah, Percy Thrower, good one. I would like to have met Percy Thrower
because he sort of started. He wasn't the first television gardener because there was somebody before him whose name I've forgotten.
Yes, there was.
I think Alan wrote about him the other day. But Percy Thrower sort of, and he was the Blue Peter gardener. He was there. He was all Shrewsbury, the Shrewsbury Flower Show.
And my grandfather used to garden like him. Like I said, he had the island beds and he didn't wear the waistcoat, but he was an absolute legend. He inspired. Talking about inspiring people to garden, he inspired a whole country. He was the gardener. It's not like now where you go on your social media, there's gardeners everywhere, garden designers everywhere. And in those days, there was a way of doing it. And he was the guy on the telly showing the nation how to garden. And I think that's a fabulous thing. So thank you. You're right. I'm going to go for Percy Thrower.
So that's the end.
And that's a lovely name as well, Percy. Percy. I hope Glenda, you agree.
Glenda and Percy would make a lovely couple.
Exactly.
I think that works.
And Glenda gets a gnome.
Glenda gets a gnome. We've reached the end of this week's podcast, where I think we've covered quite a lot. We've done bulbs, we've done all sorts of things. If you'd like more of this, of more of the James and Joe Garden Show, you should go and sign up for Scribehound Gardening, where you will find a whole stable and collective of different and exciting gardeners. Name me 3 of them.
You always put me on the spot.
I know.
Right.
Just remember the names.
Advolley Richmond.
Yes, writing about garden history.
Then we've got Mark Diacono.
Yes, writing about vegetables and cooking to a certain extent.
Beautifully. And then let me think of one other. James Alexander-Sinclair.
That's cheating, but I'll take it all the same. So basically we have a whole lot of writers writing about things that you won't usually find in garden magazines. So go and do that. And then if you also join Scribehound, then you will also qualify for a little bit more of us and ad-free listening to all of these things is what they call it, isn't it? Ad-free listening. And we all hanker after ad-free listening.
I tell you, yeah, I do, because those ads really get on my nerves.
They do. So the easy way to get rid of them, join Scribehound Gardening. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. From Joseph and myself, it's been a great pleasure, and we will see you next time.
Arrivederci.